Thank you, Senator Menendez. Senator Rubio.
Thank you both for being here. There's a concept, war of choice. It's where a nation sort of picks a time and place of their choosing in which to engage militarily for purposes of somewhere where they think they can wrap up the conflict quickly, but they do it first to project power, to sort of send the message that we have capability. Second of all is to build capacity, to learn where their weaknesses are and build upon it. What, in the short and midterm, do either of you think is the risk of a war of choice by China, whether it's a border conflict with Vietnam that they could quickly wrap up, a Taiwan contingency, but some military engagement in which they are able to choose the timing and the place of it. They can wrap it up before there could be U.S. or other intervention, and in the process sort of prove to the world some muscularity, some of their capability, and also learn a little bit about their weaknesses, and in essence use it almost as a low-risk military exercise.
Sir, I think the likelihood of that is quite high, especially in the timeline that I laid out. So one of the big issues with the military reforms was that the Chinese military has never conducted a joint operation before. The idea that the Air Force and the Navy could work together. And in most contingencies, Taiwan, South China Sea, East China Sea, that is what's necessary. So Xi Jinping, when he came into power, he took a look at the military forces and decided they're not ready to fight and win. And so he has this phrase of preparing for military struggle, and that was the whole reform period. And so in my view, they need to test those capabilities against opponents that they know they can win, because there's also domestic political factors here. The Chinese people are paying attention to how much money they're spending on the military, even as the economy is slowing. So it would look very bad for the Chinese not to perform well. And they need to make sure that they can perform well before they take on a reunification with Taiwan or a U.S. Treaty ally that could bring in the United States. So my bets are on a naval skirmish with Vietnam. I think it probably won't be on the border because they're not practicing as much ground operations as they are air and naval operations. But I think we might see some more forceful actions after they militarize the islands in the South China Sea, in which they try to occupy some of the islands that are currently occupied by others.
Yeah, I think they're legitimately, sincerely concerned about their operational capabilities. This is a constant theme. It is very significant that they have undertaken this reorganization of the armed forces. It's their parallel to the Goldwater-Nichols reforms that we engaged in about 35 years ago. Xi Jinping constantly talks about the need to train for combat. They talk about the 5 incapables, their concerns about what their military can do operationally, and I think they respect the operational effectiveness of the United States. So I think they would like to get through that reorganization before they actually test it. I think they may be underestimating how long it's going to take to really make that work. They may say it's done, but they haven't. But they may not really have matured as a force. But I think when that is done, I agree. I think they will attempt something, probably with one of their neighbors. I don't think Xi Jinping, even if, he talks about having a world-class military in 2035. He's going to be in his 80s. I don't think, even if he thinks he's going to be in power, that he wants to wait that long. So I think they'll be patient until they work their way through that. They could continue to be patient as long as they feel they're winning by this salami slicing, but they could also move. And I'll just add this. One of the dangers of the United States moving, as you all in the executive branch have moved in the last few years, to rebuild the tools, to come up with a relevant doctrine, to build new institutions, is the more effective they see us doing this, and in particular if we are successful in some local kinds of confrontation, the greater danger that they may decide to express their intentions and their ambitions, militarily. And there is a parallel for that, of course, in the late 1930s, early 1940s, when we used economic tools very effectively against another rising Asian power, and they decided that they would try and take us out. Now, I don't think that they're planning that. I don't think they want that, but I don't think it's impossible either.